שלום עליכם, השם ישמור אתכם, הרבה בריאות, נחת ושמחה לכולם בעזרת השם, כל עם ישראל. How many here that are present heard like Zohar or Kabbalah lessons?
Which one?
I know you have everything. Did you read a little bit Kabbalah? Yeah.
Not a lot.
Huh? Not a lot. You heard a little bit? Okay. I know you heard it for sure. Okay. Amen. It depends. If it's a little sweet, it's mezonot. It's not sweet? Okay. Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to start. We're delving into a big, big subject. It's a big ocean. And it's a very deep, deep ocean. You can't just dive, the deepest you can get. There's no end to it. So that's depth. So before we start, I'm going to give a little bit of introduction to what we're going to talk about, Be'ezrat Hashem. We're going to do, I think maybe 3-4 introductions it will be before we start opening the Zohar and seeing what's going on in the Zohar, Be'ezrat Hashem.
Eric, you start by saying who wrote the Zohar?
Huh?
Who wrote the Zohar?
Yeah, we'll start with that.
I think you should start with that.
Nachon. The Zohar was written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai.
It wasn't. No one says that.
Huh?
No one at all says that.
No, בסדר, we'll talk about it later. And through Eliyahu Navi. And there was a time from one generation to another, one person knew what the secrets of the Torah were. And then there was a time that the Zohar would disappear from the world, and then came back, found it in Italy. And Rabbi Shimon says, very, very amazingly, that the Zohar was written for us, for the last generation. Which is something that's amazing because we know who we are, you know, and we don't know how we deserve to get the Zohar in our situation. But it says clearly that the Zohar was written for the last generation. So although it's very, very happy, at the same time we have to be in a madrega, at least whatever we can, in a madrega to absorb the Zohar. Let me ask you something. What are we doing here?
What are you doing?
I don't know what I'm doing here, but at least I'm here. But what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm asking seriously. No, I'm talking about a Jew. What is a Jew doing here? Why? What is a Jew? What is he doing? What's the purpose of a Jew?
Yeah, good question. I wonder by myself, many times ask myself the question, why am I born?
Okay. Okay. Can somebody answer me? What are we doing here?
I'm sitting here listening to you.
Okay. Please. Huh?
Hopefully learning.
Learning. Why are we learning?
To make this a place for Hashem, to bring Kedusha into the world.
To bring Kedusha to the world. Okay. Okay. Tikkun olam. But let's go more specific. What's going on with us as Jews and why we're here. There's many, many answers to that. But one of the answers is that we're here to make a correction. We're here to correct ourselves. And the whole purpose that we are learning Torah, the whole purpose that we are praying, the whole purpose that we are blessing, is all to correct ourselves. And why is that? What do we have to correct? And why are we correcting? So let's understand something. Adam Arishon, first man, made the sin. We were all in him, in his goof, in his soul. See, it's not only him that sinned, it's all of us that were in him sinned. When the sin came, all the neshamot went down to the nachash, to the klipot, down. To olam, bria, yetzira, asiya, it's called, to the lower worlds. And we're already here with a deficit. We're here on the loan because we're already starting with a sin. And we're living here to correct this sin. Now, this is going to take 6,000 years to correct this sin. And that's when that sin will be corrected. That's when Mashiach will come. Yeah? Where do we start after 6,000 years? Where Adam Arishon was on the first day. That was, we have a deficit of 6,000 years. Hashem gave us a loan to correct ourselves for 6,000 years. What's Mashiach and everything? It's the work is starting from Adam Arishon, from the first day. That's where we start after 6,000 years of correction. We start again with what we're supposed to do in the first day with Adam Arishon. Yeah?
So it was not the first, the sixth day, basically.
Sorry?
The sixth day.
No, it's 6,000 years to correct.
The sixth day, it was not the first.
6 days, right. Now, what do we have to correct? There's basically 3 things that we have to correct. Number 1 is our traits. Everybody comes here with a luggage. In this luggage, there is traits. One is a happy person, but on the other hand, he has a weakness of woman, let's say. The other one is angry, but on the other hand, he honors his parents. So we are coming here in reincarnations. Hashem did us a favor to correct ourselves. Every time we come here, we're correcting something Be'ezrat Hashem and not completing it and coming back again to correct it. That's why we're coming back and forth, back all the time. Tikkun, that's the correction. Now, correction of traits is a very hard thing. For example, how does Hashem help us to correct ourselves with traits? The number 1 corrector in our life is our wife. Yeah? Yeah, she came here to correct us. And that's her job. Whether she knows it or not,
Whether we know it.
whether we know it or not, but we're supposed to know it. Now that we know it, maybe it's easier to understand. We're here to be corrected by our wives. She's the number 1 corrector. Now, this is a very hard concept to understand because many times the wife is against many things that I represent, and she knows exactly where to correct me. For example, if somebody is stingy, who do you think Hashem will give it? Who will be his wife, do you think?
A spender.
A spender. Because the correction is always against what I have to correct. Otherwise, there's no correction. So she's going to be, for example, he will be a person that will take the visa, start running with in the old shopping centers, buying things and all that. And the guy who's stingy, he has to correct his stinginess. Because the Torah says that the person has to be generous, to have chesed, according to his means. So every time she comes in, takes his viva, starts spending, and he's all angry inside. He has 2 choices, either to divorce or to go to a psychiatrist to see what's going on. So he goes to a psychiatrist, he tells him, I have a wife, she's a spender, unbelievable. So the psychiatrist tells him, he looks at the hour, how many hours he's sitting and talking, writes how many dollars he owes him, gives him some pills. This will be okay for you, I'll see you next week. A psychiatrist himself, the poor guy, he already divorced at least 4 or 5 times. So he doesn't have the knowledge even how to start with this
to
thing.
give advice.
Okay. He made the tshuva, this guy, and he went to the rabbi. The rabbi tells him, listen, the problem is not your wife, the problem is you. He says, yeah, why? He says, you're stingy. I'm stingy? Yes. So what am I going to do? He says, next time she comes to you, yeah, you tell her, she comes to you and says, give me the visa. You always give her a look like you're going to kill her. This time when she comes, just look at her. Don't say anything. This happens next week, she comes, the visa. He looks at her like that, doesn't say a word, gives her the visa. So the wife says, this guy went bananas. Usually goes crazy when the subject of a visa comes in. Look at him. Okay. Next week, he goes back to the rabbi. He said, it's a little better. I didn't say anything, but still inside, it's a volcano. I have a hard time with it. He said, this time she comes, you give her the visa with a smile. Okay. Gives her the visa with a smile. The woman says, she tells her friends, this one went bananas. He's smiling. He's giving her the visa with a smile. Goes back to Rabbi, it's better. He says to him, now, don't wait for her to take the visa. You give her the visa. Third week, my wife, here's the visa. Have a good time. What do you think will happen with this wife?
She'll need the psychiatrist.
What do you think will happen?
Spend more.
That's an exception. Usually what happens... Yeah, go ahead. Usually what happens, the wife will not have the urge to spend. She'll calm down. Why? Because he made a correction with himself. The trait of stinginess, he solved it within himself, so the wife who came here to correct him doesn't have to correct him anymore, and there will be a balance between them. I'm just giving you an example of what's going on in our lives, because many, many times that's what's happening. The wife is against the trait that we have to correct. So many times when you see a wife, like she's like going crazy about something, you don't know what she wants, anything like that, think, what am I doing? We don't care about what she's doing, we care about what we're doing. Because something is that I'm doing is making her mad because I have to do a correction with her. And many, many times, we think that it doesn't make sense what she's saying, whatever it is. Listen to her, and then you'll see that something inside me I have to correct that she's screaming about. And that's a big, big thing that Hashem gave us, a tool, a wife to correct us. Now this we have to understand very clearly. Why? Because many, many times people just get divorced. And they don't know that there's a correction here. So they think this woman is not suited for me. But it's not true. This is the exact woman that's suited for us, and she's doing the correction. The other people that make the corrections for us are the kids. It says, Al tikre banaich ela bonaich. Don't call them sons, ela call them builders. What, our sons are builders? Yeah, they're building us. The kids are building us, for example. Another correction. You have a Talmid Chacham, a big, big Talmid Chacham, and he's very, very well known and everything. Hashem will many, many times give him, or not give him, Bezrat Hashem, give him a kid who doesn't want to learn. And the rabbi is very hurt. How can it be that my son is not learning? To a point, sometimes he can't even read the alphabet, the kid. Why is this happening? Because the father has a big ego. Who's going to correct him? The son. So the son here, he has to absorb the son. He has to understand that he has to love him, no matter where he is at. Whether he's a builder, whether he's a plumber, whether he's a big Talmid Chacham, this is my kid. I have to love him and I have to help him, whatever the situation is. So that corrects the father. So Rambam says, in order to learn Torah, he says, that the person has לשפר את מידותיו קודם. He has to clean himself from bad traits and then learn Torah. Otherwise, he says, for a person to learn Torah while he has a bad traits, it's like throwing Evan to the Marcolis. It's like throwing a stone to Avodah Zarah. That's how bad Rambam considers this thing. So one thing that we came here to do is to correct our traits. And each one, Bezrat Hashem, me first, Bezrat with you, we have to see exactly what's in our luggage that we have to correct. There's many things that were corrected from previous reincarnations, and many things that we have to correct now.
You have to correct.
I have to correct. Second thing, our work with Hashem, learning Torah, doing the mitzvot. Yeah? That's also another thing that we have to correct. And I'll explain it during the lectures, B'ezrat Hashem, what we're doing with that. And the next thing is Ben Adam lechavaro, us with our fellow friends. Ahavat Israel, so on and so forth. Now, another thing that we have, that's another branch of what I'm saying, each one of us has different traits according to the four elements. The four elements are wind, fire, afar, earth, and water. Yeah? The world is built from these four elements. Everything in the world was built from these four elements. For example, why a stone is a stone? A stone is an inert object. But it's a stone because the earth, the element of earth, is overpowering the three other elements. The stone has wind in it, like you see stones with holes in it. The stone has fire in it, because you take two stones and you put them together, you see fire. The stone has also water in it, because you see sometimes plants growing from stones. And the stone, the predominant element there is earth. That's why it's a stone. Water, the same thing. Water is the predominant element there is water, but it also has fire. Sometimes you take even a glass, yeah? Put it near the water and you see that it heats up. Water has also air, and water has also earth. Everything in the world has these four elements. But what is the predominant element? That's what makes it the object. We are the same thing. We are inside. We have fire, we have earth, water, and what did I say? Fire. Wind, right. So there's people that, for example, the predominant element in them is fire. What kind of people are they going to be?
Angry.
Fire, everything has two ways. Kedusha and Sitra Acha, Tuma. Everything in the world. Everything is mixed with good and bad. You don't say anything that's completely good or completely bad. It's all mixed. Since the sin, everything is mixed. Fire has the good element of warmth. Yeah? So the person who has fire in him has a lot of feelings. He can take this fire and give it to Hashem. Then he has a lot of, he's all the time passionate, and he has a lot of feelings for Hashem. On the other hand, on the other side, the fire can bring him to anger and to ego. These are the two elements that the fire on the Sitra Acha side. So what a person who is like that, I'm just talking, I'm saying, because each one more or less knows himself. So if the person who finds himself to have more fire in him, his tikkun is anava, humbleness, against the ego, to be humble. And once he becomes humble, he becomes happy. Because anybody who is on the element of fire and is on the Sitra Acha side, is always looking for appreciation. He wants everybody to give him kavod. He gets angry at every little thing that he sees. It's a very hard life to be like that. Besides all the the sins that he can do with all the, that elements. He has to look at himself and see where he's at with that element. The next element will be earth. There's people who are predominantly earth. The good side on earth is that they are very deep people. Like the earth always brings down everything. You put water, it comes down to earth. Everything, it gravitates down. So these people will have a hard time learning fast. All they want to do always to see the roots of the things. For if he learns Torah or learns something, you'll always want to know what's behind everything. You'll be a very deep learner, this person. On the other hand, on the other side, can be a very lazy person. He's got earth. So he's got one thing here, one thing there. He wants to sleep. He's always looking for convenience. He's looking for the chair that's like convenient. And if there's water, food around, all this, he wants convenience. He's lazy. So whoever, like me, has this, he has all the time to know that he has the wind and the fire in him to correct this. Because Hashem gave us these 4 elements so we can correct ourselves. So we have everything inside us. It's only us who have to realize what to correct. And we have all the elements inside us. If I'm lazy, I have the earth in me. So bring up if I'm lazy, I have the fire in me. Bring the fire up to correct me. I have the tools. I just have to know who I am. Because I can't live in the world without knowing who I am. Because if I don't know who I am, I can't correct myself. Next thing, we have air. Air is people that love to talk. They talk and talk and talk. But, so if they talk good things, Torah, mitzvot, Baruch Hashem. But the other side is the Lashon Hara. So people who are from air side have to be very, very careful not to take Lashon Hara. They have to realize that they are from air, but they have the afar to stop them from Lashon Hara. And the 4th thing would be water. Water is ta'avot. A person has a lot of water in him. The predominant element will be water. He's got ta'avot. Ta'avot is desires. So he's got bodily desires for whatever, I don't want to widen the subject, you understand? Money and the food and everything is ta'avot, desires. But we have also the element that can correct that, the earth element, where we have to control our ta'avot, and come to a balance. The balance in us is the source of happiness. What makes a person happy is balance. If he's going on one extreme, he can never be happy because he understands inside him that he's not balanced and he has a big lack. If he's balanced, everything's fine. So we have to always find out who we are, first of all. So that's one of the big corrections, to know who we are. Yeah?
You have to find out who you are before you can work out what you have to correct.
Exactly. The wife also helps us on that. The kids, friends. We think that friends are people that are supposed to be together doing all kinds of hobbies together. Yeah. Torah says that a real friend is a person that corrects the other friend. That's when he's a friend. He shouldn't be afraid to criticize, but in the right way, right? To criticize his friend. Why? Because they both want to go up and connect to Hashem. That's why we're here. So he's helping me, the friend is helping me to come to a point where I'm closer to Hashem. That's a friend. But a friend that always flatters and says, no, you're fantastic, you're da-da-da-da, the Torah says, be careful. If he's overdoing it, he's not your friend. So that's another thing that corrects us. B'kitzur, we have a lot of work to do. before we start Torah, even before we start learning a Mishnah, we have a lot of work to do. Now, once a person realizes these things, he has an easier time with himself because now he has the direction where to go. He has to correct himself. His wife is his help. The kids are also his correction, but it's hard. Why? Because the truth is always hard. Truth is hard. It's very, very easy to escape from ourselves and go to an island and sit there and get the sun and say goodbye. No, we have to face the truth. And once we face the truth and love the truth, we're going to be much happier. That's a very, very important thing. Okay. Any questions up to now?
How do you determine like water, fire in person? It's with the mazalot or where they were born, the time there? It's like a mazalot or not?
Okay. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to go into that, how we're fire, how we're water. What's important is that we look into ourselves and know ourselves. And these four elements, once we learn them, then we know who we are. That's where to correct it. That's it. Mazalot, there's no mazal for Israel. Israel is above mazalot. There's no such thing, mazal, kochavim, astronomy, no. We are above that, Bezrat Hashem. Once we learn Torah and Matzvot, that takes us above the mazalot. Okay? So everybody has the power to correct themselves. Hashem will not bring anybody here with that person knowing that he can correct everything to the end. To the end. And this is our work here. Of course, money and the whole thing, what we're eating, and Baruch Hashem, everything, Bezrat Hashem, a lot of health and wealth. This is all means to correct ourselves.
One thing is, I think, to correct yourself, it's very important that you be honest also to yourself.
Exactly.
Because if you don't do that, then you're...
Exactly. That's what I said. We have to be very truthful. Yeah. Emet is they say, there's a phrase about that. Emet, it says, Emet is hard, and few people are the ones that carry this burden with them. Because it's much easier to run away with our thoughts from the Emet. And this whole world is complete shekel. Complete against Emet. Everything that today, especially, anybody who looks at media and whatever it is, all these places, it's all shekel. It's like 99% shekel. Once it was 60%, now it's 99 shekel. 99%. Everybody's trying to convince you to do whatever they think that should be done for their money and for their pockets. So today it's a much harder work. Nachon. But whoever is zocheh an everlasting zchut.
You said something beautiful that when you are in balance, you have happiness. But is it right to say that everybody's balance is different from somebody else? My balance is different from somebody else's, and also the perfect balance might change in time. It's true?
Yes. There's times that you go this way, there's times you go this way, but the Torah is the one that leads us to the balance. Who also leads us to the balance? The rabbis. Because a person cannot know himself. It says, "Ben Adam lo ro'eh et nigut atzmo." What does it mean? I cannot judge myself because I'm inside myself and I have an interest that's not objective many times. I need a friend or I need a rabbi that knows me well to direct me. That's why it's very, very important to have a rabbi that knows us and to ask him questions. Because he will give us the balance. He'll always say, you're like this, that. Ashrei a person that has a rabbi like that.
Chazak u'baruch.